It's another Friday. It's another Daily Beat. How you doing? I'm Ben Shields with Dakota Morrissey. He's news editor at dailytrib.com. And Dakota, how was your week?
It's a great week, man.
It
Busy.
was. Big stories as always.
Big stories. It's budget season, running around, but it's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keeping you busy. And we've got something you don't hear of much in these parts, but there's a possibility that library case in Llano County could eventually head to the Supreme Court, correct? The largest judicial in all the land.
That's right, the highest court in the land. This is a long story, just so I don't bore everybody. Essentially, several books were pulled out of the Llano County library system a couple years ago for various reasons. A lot of them were sort of either racially themed or had something to do with gender. There's also a lot of books about farts in there, and those were all pulled out kind of without any due process. It's like, let's get these things out of here. A group of residents got together and said, hey, we think that violates our freedom of speech. You know, you're getting rid of books, you're not providing access to them. And then that kicks off, the last few years of lawsuits and back and forth and escalations through the various court systems until we've arrived at right now where the petitioners have, the plaintiffs in this case, the Llano County residents, are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to hear this case to give the final say on whether or not there's been some freedom of speech violations here.
Now, this is a case that has garnered national attention. There's been a lot of national media that's been in town the past couple of years following this story. And what's the next step now, Dakota? When do we find out if this actually does go to the highest court?
Well, it could be a couple months before we find out. Llano County, who are the defendants in this case, have a little bit to respond. And they can ask for an extension maybe, but if everything moves forward, we could have a decision from the court maybe in November on whether or not they're going to hear this. And just to bring everybody up to date, as of now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, I don't want to get too deep into all the legalese of it, but they basically said, you know what, Llano County has the right to pull out books however they see fit from the library. So there's been some back and forth, but that's where we're at right now. And the U.S. Supreme Court, if they want to hear this, they could change their decision. But if they don't want to hear this, this is the end.
And it's done.
It's over with. Yeah, and this will set a precedent forever, basically.
All right. So, case, it's been, when did we start on this? 2022, I think?
Yep.
Okay. So, it's been going on for 3 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like it's been going on longer than that.
My first day on the job was going to Llano County Commissioner's Court, and I think the Washington Post was there. There was 1 million cameras, and I was like, oh, I guess this is being a small-town reporter.
That's crazy. Now, it will be interesting to see if this does go to the Supreme Court. To do some research, has there ever been a case here in Burnet or Llano County that's ever gone to the Supreme Court?
I'm sure there has been at some point. I'm not familiar with it. Just in my time here and my line of work, it's not normal to see a case escalate to this point. So whether it goes or not, though, we should find out soon.
All right, like Dakota said, a lot of details of the story, so read more about it, dailytrib.com. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe, dailytrib.com/subscribe. All right, let's talk about the local Burnet County budget. This is something that you've been following for the past few weeks and finally came to a conclusion this week.
Yes, the Burnet County, we have a budget. We're moving forward. Again, to bring everybody up to speed, there's been a lot of back and forth with how the budget's going to play out. You have appointed Burnet County Judge Brian Wilson, who's been at the helm since earlier this year. And part of his job as the county judge is to make the budget alongside the auditor. He pitches it to everyone. They make some changes. They pass the thing. The county runs for another year. Most of what he put forward was approved. People liked it. Lowering the tax rate, minimizing spending, no new debt, all things everybody could agree on. But there was a huge sticking point for the sheriff's office asking for more deputies. And he wouldn't budge on this. They were saying, we need them it'll make everybody safer, essentially, which he kind of came back at him with some stats and figures on the lowering crime rate in Burnet County, on the fact that they've gotten huge I guess they've got more personnel and more money over the last few years, some pretty significant numbers. And he just wouldn't budge on this, sort of saying, I want to keep costs low. But at this meeting on Tuesday, when this budget was approved, you basically had everybody going at it saying, you're doing this for political gain, blah, blah, blah. When the dust settles, the deputies get added into the budget and everybody approves the thing. So no matter what reason it was, we just have a budget now, and this is sort of the conclusion of this ongoing battle between the sheriff's office and the judge.
All right, dailytrib.com to read about the final budget for Burnet County. I guess this is for 2025/2026.
That's right, begins October 1.
Okay, I'll be here in no less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, another story, a serious story that you reported on this week was out of Blue Lake.
Yes, we don't know a lot, but we do know a Blue Lake resident was killed last week, and the suspect arrested in the killing was the victim's daughter. So again, we don't know a ton. We know this is all, Blue Lake is a small community outside Horseshoe Bay in Llano County, and there was an arrest made. They're being held at Llano County Jail on $750,000 bail. And we don't know much more than that, but, murders aren't very common in our area, between Burnet and Llano County. So we're going to stay on top of that and try to share details as they come. All
right, Dakota. So Dakota's been following the news all week long, and you can read all about it, dailytrib.com. That's dailytrib.com/subscribe. All right, Dakota, thank you so much. Always enjoy having you in the K-Bay studio, and let's do this again next week.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, that's the Daily Beat on K-Bay.